to tell what the identity of this team has been after fall camp as you get ready for this first game of the season, or is it still work in progress?
Definitely still working, always looking to be better. Very happy with what we've accomplished so far in camp. Really hopeful this could be a good year for us. Really excited about the progression that some of the young guys are making and really just building the team together, but always looking to get better, always looking to improve.
What specifically have you seen this offensive line progress in the last couple of months, especially during fall camp?
So I think the progression of the offensive line, I think the biggest would have to be some of the guys that I guess maybe didn't play a lot last year. So watching some of those guys that are sophomores and juniors kind of start to step up and really find their footing and be able to play some really good ball. I'm really excited about those guys. When you talk about the Jared Wilsons, the Dylan Fairchilds, the Michael Morrises, the even Monroe Field and all of those guys, man, it's really exciting, just to see them come and find their footing, man. It's really amazing.
Yeah, over the course of fall camp and working with Carson so much this offseason, how has your guys' relationship developed, especially in terms of calling things out and working on that communication that a quarterback and center have?
Yeah, of course. So I would say that it's more of so it's obviously a different relationship because I think everybody's different and everybody has their own unique set of ways they like to do things. So I think with working with Carson, the biggest thing has just been making sure that we both are seeing things, communicating about it. I think a lot of times on the field, you kind of get into a funk where you may just get caught up in doing your job, and I think it's really important to make sure that you're communicating with the guy behind you, and in his case, in front of you, to make sure that you're both kind of seeing things, really familiar with each other, came in together. So it's been pretty good. I've really enjoyed it. He jokingly says that we're back reunited, so it's really good to just, have him back there and, work with him.
Said typically when you're having to replace both tackles, it's not a small deal in the SEC. You've been part of some really good lines here the last couple of years, obviously. But do you have a feeling about how this group has come together? And I've heard positive things. Do you feel like it has a chance to be as good as some of those others, or do you look at it like that?
Well, obviously, we want to pay respects to the guys that came before us. Some amazing, people, players, and to be honest, groups, that came together here. And to be honest with you, I'm hopeful that we can be good, but ultimately, all we can do is just strive to be better every day. So, I really think it starts with not taking things for granted because you start to realize, although we may have had people who played last year, it's a totally different group. Like, you have to have their cohesion. Guys got to know how they're going to play a double team together, how they may see a certain twist, pass different things off. So, although you may have that experience of playing, it's a whole different group once you insert a new guy into the lineup. So it's really just making sure that you're not taking things for granted and that you're taking those reps so that you get the cohesion with all the other guys that, maybe step in at some point.
Yeah, so with Nas Stackhouse having played nose tackle here for so long and you playing center, the way y'all practice, probably not a football player you've taken more reps against than Nas Stackhouse. So what would you say about his game and how would you describe y'all's relationship?
So I go back to immediately our freshman year. So my freshman year, my roommates were Warren Brinson, Jalen Carter, and Nas Stackhouse, and we all lived together for about a year and a half, right? So very familiar with Nas. That's my guy. But if I had to describe his game, I would say that he's like ridiculously strong, but also deceptively quick. So a lot of the times, like I think he's really good with moving his shoulders and lowering his pad level. But it's very subtle. So you may not notice, you may think that he's playing high, but really he's dipping his shoulder and different things like that he may do in the run game, but also pass. So I really think that with Nas, I think a lot of people look at him as a stout run stopper, but I think a lot of people don't realize that he has a subtle quickness to him as well that kind of catches you off guard if you aren't, aware of it.
Sedrick, I know you guys have found motivation from slights or any perceived slights, and the game day analysts all picked Alabama to win the SEC. Did you hear about that? What do you make of it?
If I'm being 100% honest with you, I have not seen it. To be honest with you, we've been trying to just focus on making sure that we're doing all that we can to, protect us and make sure that we're doing what we can to be the best team as possible. But, at the end of the day, they have their opinion, and, we respect it, but all we can do is just work and, try to have the best, results for us.
Sedrick, I don't know how much you've looked into, obviously your upcoming opponent, but I did want to ask you about Dalen Dotson. for UT Martin. What have you seen from him, and how are you and the rest of the offensive line preparing for their leading pass rusher coming in?
So I think the guy you're talking about is number 1, right?
Yes, number 1.
Yeah. So I've seen him, and he's really, really quick. Likes to really move around, likes to make explosive plays. I think that he's a guy that if you take your eyes off him, he can make a quick play, maybe a swim move, things like that. So definitely take into account when he can bring, in the run and pass game. So definitely making sure that we're taking, it very serious. I like what UT Martin does up front. They're a really good, up front team. I think they play hard. I think they're really talented. So looking forward to just making sure that we come into practice, watch all the film, make sure that we're taking the proper reps that we need to make sure that we're prepared for that game, because he's a very talented player.
Yeah, Sedrick, one of the guys we talked to this fall mentioned you as like the overall leader of the team at his eyes. I'm just wondering if that's a role you feel like you've taken on, and how have you tried to embrace that over the past 7-8 months since last season ended?
So if I'm being honest, that was kind of a role that I was kind of setting into last year a bit. I was trying to make sure that I was doing all that I can to help lead this team, lead that team, excuse me. So really for me, it's just making sure that I'm staying on top of what I need to do so that I can hold other people accountable. I think that's the biggest thing when trying to be a leader is the moment that you slack, everybody's looking, everybody's making sure that they point it out to you. So it's not giving people that chance so that they have no choice but to uphold that standard, if that makes sense. Because the one moment that you don't, you kind of lose all your credibility. And I know it may seem unfair that, you may do things right a million times, and the one time you mess it up, you kind of lose all your credibility. But that's the reality of being a leader. So I would say more so I've been embracing the role of just making sure that I'm being consistent, if that makes sense.
Said you come back for year 4. Obviously, part of the reason is to improve your NFL draft stock. When you went back and watched yourself last year, what are those areas of improvement that you needed to make?
Yeah, so I think I may have talked about this before, but my biggest thing was just technique. That was my biggest thing. I was definitely a guy out there just playing football, having fun. Did not really care to try with technique. I was definitely one of those guys that, technique and practice, but when it's game time, you go out there and play. How do you get the job done? That's how you get the job done. So I would think that this year I'm looking to, play with more technique, show more of a slower paced game, because I think that, to be honest with you, in a lot of situations that helps. That's what they want to see on the next level. So that's really the biggest thing for me, is making sure that I can kind of slow down a bit and making sure that I'm playing with the right steps, right hand placement, head placement, things like that.
Hey Cedric, Kirby had said one of the reasons why Carson got a starting quarterback job is just his familiarity with the offense and experience level. What have you seen from him just in terms of his comfort level with the offense and just being a leader for you guys on that side of the ball?
Absolutely. So I think one thing that Carson does well is really just recognizing coverages. I think he does that pretty well, and making anticipatory throws. I think that's one thing that he really does well. Is understanding the concept they're in, understanding what the defense is in, and kind of, I don't want to say predetermining, but I guess having an idea of where the ball should go. So I think he does a really good job of doing that, and I think that he does an amazing job of, every once in a while, even though he's not a very vocal guy, he's not the guy that's going to go out there and yell at everybody, but when the time is needed and he feels like he has to step up, I think he does a good job of making sure he's that guy for the offense.
Sedrick, who's backing you up at center, and what can you tell us about Austin Blasky and Ernest Green?
So I'll leave that question for Coach Searles about who's backing me up. But one thing I will say is I have extreme confidence in any guy that, may have to play, center in the future, during this season, whatever it may be, the situation. I have extreme confidence in any of those guys. But I will say with Ernest Green and Austin Blasky, they both have competed really, really well. I'm excited to see them both play. I think this would be like the first time that either one of them really gets a chance to potentially go out there and start and make some plays for the team. So I'm really excited for both of them, because I've watched them both work so hard since they've gotten here. And to kind of see that come into fruition for them is really a beautiful thing. So I'm looking forward to seeing them.
Got time for 2 more questions?
Said obviously first game since the loss of Devin. What kind of things are you guys going to try to do this year to honor his memory? As far as that number 77 is concerned, y'all plan on doing anything special with that, or like on a weekly basis, anything like that to remember him?
So to be honest with you, we've talked about a bunch of different things. Nothing's really set in stone. It's kind of hard to, I guess, fully commemorate somebody that you feel like you came in with, and this is supposed to be a senior season. So when you do it, you want to make sure that you do it right. So we've definitely talked about a few things. We haven't set something in stone yet, but I think with something like that, it has to be organic and has to be natural. So I think when it hits your heart and it feels right for everybody, and you get that conviction, then that's what it is.
Why has Ernest Green kind of put himself in position to possibly start? I know last year he was coming on before his injury as well. What does he bring to the table?
So I think with Ernest, I think the very unique thing, about him has to be, one, his work ethic, but also, two, he has really good feet. I know a lot of people, because of his size, they may see him as, an interior player, but to be honest with you, he has really good feet that allows him to excel on the outside. So I think that's kind of what has put him in a position outside of his hard work to be able to possibly take that role. It's just the fact that he has really, really good feet. He's able to stay in front of everybody. He's able to, always stay in phase and pass pro and, second effort and things like that. So I would say the thing that really helps him to be able to possibly take that role would be just his exceptional feet.
Thanks, Sedrick.
Thank y'all. God bless you.